Great guest last time he was on. Nice appearance by Guy Fieri. Of course, the Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives star. And then I realized that he's something more than that. He is maybe the mayor of Flavortown because his hometown of Columbus, Ohio, wants to maybe rename it Flavortown after native son, Guy Fieri, who joins us on the program. Is this a real story, Guy?
I think you probably have better intel on it than I do, but yeah, it's a real story and it's a real campaign put on some guys that I don't know, but they sure are going after it.
How often are you back in Columbus? Will you go back to support this when we can travel?
Well, I was born in Columbus back in '68. My parents were kind of hippies and took off to California in a squareback Volkswagen and came out to Cali and made candles and sold leather purses and did all that kind of stuff. And so I hadn't been back to Columbus much. Now I have a bunch of cousins all throughout Ohio, up in Cleveland and in the Columbus area. But I just went back recently, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and went to the actual hospital where I was born. And that was kind of my big reunion, and went to Ohio State game and so forth. But no, I haven't been back many times to specifically Columbus. But I will tell you this, great food town.
You've done Cincinnati. Have you done Skyline Chili and Gold Star?
Haven't done Skyline. Have been to Skyline, don't get me wrong. Haven't featured it on Triple D. Anywhere I can get Cincinnati chili. I mean, I try to come out here to California and tell people about Cincinnati chili, and they're like, you what? The five way, and spaghetti. It's the bomb. It's something, unfortunately, that hasn't made it, I think, past the Mississippi. But if you do get a chance to try it, you got it.
What about White Castle hamburgers?
Been to White Castle a bunch of times, probably more times than I remember. Again, not something that we find out here as often. A different style of burger, different style of the way they make it, but haven't featured on Triple D. But white style ish, places that are maybe smaller. We're in and out here. This is in and out country.
Well, I was going to say the best fast food restaurant out west is.
You're asking me, or you're telling me? I think
no, I'm not telling you. All
your listeners call you and tell you. I love all the. I just sit here and listen to the pre-show. I just get caught up on everything. Cam Newton, you name it. I don't know. I think that probably one that has the most cult following would be In and Out. I remember when I went to college in Las Vegas at UNLV. We would send the pledges. They would have to go drive into California, and that was the pilgrimage just to bring back the In and Out. But I would say that's probably it. I mean, there's a couple. There's Jim Boy's Tacos over in Sacramento. There's all kinds of funky little spots around.
What'd you go to college for?
Well, I got a business degree, but specializing in hospitality in restaurants. So I graduated the year we won the NCAA, which was a pretty amazing time. Vegas at that time was Vegas, and then this little school, part-time, commuter school, local school. And here we are with Tarkanian and all the guys and rocking it, and it was an amazing time.
And they were such big celebrities. I mean, Tark on the Strip. I mean, and people. I don't know what it cost to sit at those UNLV games, but if you were there courtside, people were shelling out some pretty good coin to sit there.
Well, here was the funny thing about it is UNLV was just starting to emerge really in their basketball program. So it was still inside of the school's program that the fraternities got to go into a lottery. And sometimes your fraternity would just draw the tickets and get to sit courtside for like a major game. I mean, like a major game. And I remember sitting there. There was an exhibition game with Russia. And we sat on what people would call Gucci Row. And there I am sitting with a bunch of fraternity brothers. I'm like sophomore in college, and I'm having the best time of my life. But the players were amazing. The school was still small enough that you got to interact and see these guys all the time. And they were huge. I mean, Larry Johnson could have played any sport at any position he wanted. He was so big, but nice guys.
The Raiders in Vegas, are you comfortable? I mean, that sounds like it's a better location for people, destination. What kind of football town do you think Vegas is going to be for your Raiders?
Well, leaving Oakland, of course, is difficult. It was a big transition that happened to LA, and then finally to come back. And, I know from a lot of my buddies that play ball that they didn't want to go. No one wanted to play in Oakland. I mean, the stadium's still sharing it with baseball. so difficult, and I hate to see him leave. But I will say, and I'm probably going to get some flack from my true Oakland Raider buddies. I think it's probably the best choice. I couldn't see them going to another city. I don't want them to go into a city that's already had a team and that have their bunch of discussion. And Vegas is it's a great destination. Here's what people are going to get. You can go see your favorite team play my favorite team in the city of hospitality with great rooms, great entertainment, a lot to do. So you can make a whole weekend or a whole week out of it. I think the stadium's amazing. I think the Raiders are getting what the Raiders deserve. And I think Vegas will support. Vegas is different now than it was when I went to college there in the 90s. Now this is really a major city with a lot of fans. And I think they've shown good support for hockey. I think they're really going to get behind the Raiders.
He's Guy Fieri, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and apparently the next mayor of Flavortown in Ohio. So we're signing off on this. If elected, you will serve.
I don't think it's actually. I think this is getting a little cart before the horse.
Okay.
I think what the petition is, and I think it's around 120,000 signatures. And I don't know all the details. I'm not behind this. I'm not the one instigating this, I should say. Am I flattered? Yes. Do I think that there's a lot going on and a lot of decisions that need to be made before this happening? But yes, if anything like this ever were to really come about, of course I would be there. And, it's probably a visit is due. But we do have to talk about at some point, DPs. We got to talk about you and your backyard grilling. I heard you talking about pellet grills, and we have a whole segment of a show that we need to get into. Maybe a little cooking hour with you.
Okay, but I'm curious, when you go to a backyard,
right,
a barbecue, if you see somebody doing something wrong, if you go there, are you automatically brought in from the bullpen that you have to help cook?
Well, I don't know, when you go somewhere, when your wife gives you the arm grab with the just shut up and be quiet and sit down. So I get that every once, especially if it's the first time we've met somebody. But usually after we break that ice, I'm usually brought in or I jump in. But you know what? We've just changed. This pandemic that we've been in has really, I think, helped people evolve to the next level of cooking or get back into cooking. So I think people are doing a much better job. But have I seen hot messes going down with 20 people there for a graduation barbecue and had to kind of maybe take a little intervention procedure? Undercover? Yes, I've done that a few times.
What do you not cook on a grill?
Well, it depends on the type of grill. I mean, you got all different types. You got gas grills, you got charcoal grills, you got pellet smokers, you've got there's a variety. I can't really say that there's anything in between the three of those that you wouldn't cook. I mean, veggies cook great, fish cooks great, seafood cooks great, low and slow is dynamite. I think it's just all in the technique, the type of fuel, the type of grill or smoker that it might be, because any one of them used incorrectly can just deliver you a hot mess. But I think that it is probably what all guys associate themselves with. Like, I'm an outdoor, I'm a griller, and so forth. And I think that these pellet smokers are kind of I think it's the next evolution. I think it's the evolution. I think it's where people are going to go and they're like, wait a second. So it doesn't mean I have to do a 16-hour brisket. I can just throw pork chops on there and they'll really be dynamite. Exactly.
Give me the restaurant that you would go back to of all the ones you've done. So you got one to go back to.
Tell me who your favorite athlete is in the whole world. No, I mean, it's that kind of a question. I just finished out shooting the United States on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. We've done it for 14 years, and we just finished with North Dakota, and the final state we'd never hit was South Dakota. And we tried to go there about 10 years ago, but we did some research, and we weren't really finding as many restaurants as we needed. And so we went there and shot, and we just did these amazing shows, and so that covers the 50 states. So I've done 1,400 locations. So I get into this situation where, I mean, it's like picking who's your favorite kid or picking, who's the best, of all sports. And what happens is my mind goes back to where I was recently, or my mind goes back to, one of my, you get a heartfelt thing. I'll tell you a great place. There's a place down in San Diego called Hodad's. And Hodad's is a burger joint down at the beach. And Mike Harden was the guy that owned it. He since passed away, but his kid Shane runs it now. But if you want what I would call a picturesque triple D experience, that you're really going to kind of get this whole like, oh, this is what guy does. That would be a place to check out. That's one of my all-time faves.
Yeah, because I don't know if, the food itself or just the actual experience or that it was just sentimental. I know you bring your boys with you. Like they've grown up in this environment there. So I didn't know if, and didn't you go to Italy with one of your sons? Did you do that as well?
Oh yeah. So Hunter graduated from UNLV recently, actually. But when Hunter graduated high school, when Hunter was about in fourth grade, as I would drive him to school, we would talk about food and talk about music, the father-son stuff. And I said to him, when you graduate from high school, I'm going to take you all through Europe and we're going to learn about where all the food came from. Because remember, all the immigrants came here. So, that was like this ongoing thing. And all of a sudden, this kid's graduating high school. I'm like, I better come up with a trip to Europe. So we went to 7 countries, 14 cities in 30 days. A hot tour all the way, starting in Greece, going through Italy. We did Spain, we did Germany, we did Switzerland, we did France, England, I said Spain. And so he did something. He made paella in Spain. He made croissants in Paris, and on and on and on. So yeah, we took this great tour. And then when he graduated UNLV, that was the big surprise. He just graduated and we were off to Asia. And just about when that was happening, it was no mas.
Oh.
We didn't get to go. So one of these days we'll make it there for this big Asian food tour, but not soon.
Yeah, you got to let me know, hopefully, when you get back on the road. We'd love to stop in when you're filming something in the New York area. It'd be great.
Well, you know what would even be better is why don't you pick out your 3 favorite joints that you dig, and why don't we just do a piece on your plate? Bring all the crew down and get the family involved, and we'll make a whole visit, a little pilgrimage around 3 or 4 towns in your area. You were just saying something about the story. First and foremost, the food's got to be, I don't care if it's just a slice of pizza. If that's what they're known for, then let's do it. But it's got to be really good food. They got to really treat the food correctly. You can't be doing the frozen crust and just because we all love it. I have friends tell me these places all the time, and I'm like, hey, did you know that place is actually frozen meat? Like, we don't care. We've been going there since we were kids. But it's got to be good food. It's got to be properly prepared, and it's got to have a story. They got to have something that when I share this with the world and say, here you go, people are gonna be able to resonate with it. But you tell me when, man, that'd be a great trip.
But I wonder, can I read into how you're taking a bite out of something? Because you have a producer, Neil, who I text occasionally to say, hey, I'm watching, and there's no way he liked that. There's no way.
And by the way, Neil, it's the funniest thing with Neil. Neil's like, hey, do you and Dan talk? I'm like, yeah, I text, and we go back and forth. He goes, well, for some reason, he texts me to find you. I said, I think he's just doing the proper channels of trying to keep everybody aligned because he knows that, me answering the phone's like him answering the phone. Neil's a great guy. Neil's been with us forever. Neil started as a PA, and Neil is probably one of the best producers I've ever had a chance to work with.
You're stalling guy.
No.
Do you have a poker face?
Here's the truth of it.
Okay.
There's the difference between love, and OMG. You gotta be kidding me. But the one thing you won't see is if I don't like it, if it's not something I wouldn't eat, if it's something I wouldn't finish, you won't see it on the show. And that hasn't happened in years because we have such a great vetting process now. By the time I'll get 20 locations that we have just a basic idea of what's going on. I'll pick out of that. Then we'll start to do our research. But by the time I get it, I know what flavor gum they're chewing.
How many miles does the Camaro have on it?
Oh, maybe 6. Doesn't have any. Actually, that's my car. We got that car, built that car. It's got it's basically like a 2015 Chevy with a really cool body on it because we went through everything, engine, tranny, you name it. But and we were driving it. But now we're in the situation, we have a full-time team, this great guy named Todd, and Todd drives the truck and the trailer back and forth across the country. How many miles does that truck have on it? About 350,000. How many miles does the Camaro have? maybe 1,000.
This is how invested I am with diners, drive-ins, and dives. I reached out to Neil and I said, look, I got a real problem here. At the end of each episode, I want you to come back and tell me what restaurant you were at. Because if I don't get it at the beginning, I don't know it at the end. And then Neil goes, okay, I'll make sure I tell Guy. And then one night I'm watching on a Friday, and all of a sudden it came up at the very end. And I'm like, I'm by myself in the basement. I went, yeah. And nobody, my wife goes, what? I go, no, never mind. You wouldn't get it. But I was so proud that you tell us where you were at the end of the episode.
Well, you know what? And I'll tell you, and I thank you for watching, and we've known each other for years. And it's, the thing that the show does is it really is, it's like winning the restaurant lottery for a lot of these restaurants. It's the amount of advertising that they could never comprehend of ever having, and advertising on such a massive platform, and with the reruns. And then sometimes we do a Triple D Nation, which is a revisit of them. I mean, there's just so many different ways that we try to promote these mom and pop restaurants. And that's really what the whole genesis of this was for me as a chef, having my own restaurants, is I know how difficult it was. But there's a great app, and I don't have any part of the app, but the folks that do the app are really cool, and they are pretty on point. And it's called Flavortown. Granted, Flavortown trademark and all that is mine, but that's fine because they're doing such a good job. And if you can get it on your phone, so it says to you, nearest Triple D joints to where you are, or by state, or by city name. And you go on there, and it'll give you the full rundown of the area, the website, the blah, 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 blah. So and I think it's still free, but definitely a worthy app to check out. Or then, Dan, you can also just call me or call Neil.
I gave out your number to everybody, too.
I hope so. Run it as the lower third if you could, scrolling across the bottom. Make my address on there.
You know what I did one time, Guy? I gave out my home number, and I was giving out the number for the show for people to call in. I gave out my home number. And I went, wait, what? And then all of a sudden, people realized, wait, what number did you give out? And all of a sudden, my wife's getting phone calls. She's going, people want to talk to you. They're calling the house. I said, oh, my bad. So
well done.
Yeah. So you're going to get a lot of phone calls, and that's good because you're a man of the people. You're the mayor of Flavortown.
Well, I tell you, when it gets happening, I hope you'll be there for the celebration.
Oh, I will be. I'm from Cincinnati, so absolutely.
Oh, that's why you had all the Skyline chili. Do you make chili? Do you make Cincinnati chili at home?
No, I get it. I get the frozen stuff sent in.
Oh, you got to send me a link to that then, because we make it here. I'll put it together for my friends.
Yeah.
And chili because the chili typically for most people on the West Coast, chili has beans in it and so forth. Texas doesn't have beans, but the Cincinnati chili doesn't have beans. You get beans. For anybody that doesn't know what this is, you should really look it up because you order it in different levels of how you want it, with cheese, with onions, with spaghetti. Crazy stuff.
A 5-way. Yes. Guy, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks, guys.
That's Guy Fieri, Diners, Drive-Ins, Dives.